Welcome to the White Sox Recap Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey. You must understand that something's going really well for the Chicago White Sox when we're doing multiple pods a week now. That's where we are. We are turning the corner into mid-June, and the Chicago White Sox are in first place. I will repeat that. We are turning the corner into mid-June, and the Chicago White Sox are in first place. We've spent the better part of a month on this podcast talking about, can they win the AL Central? Can they survive the gauntlet? How are they going to perform without Munetaka Murakami? Check, check, check. This is here to stay, folks. This team is one of the better teams in all of Major League Baseball. I believe it. You should believe it. Jonathan Hood believes it. And he's going to join me on this edition of the podcast as we talk about Braden Montgomery's debut week. We did a podcast earlier this week from the ballpark in the excitement and debut and the release of Braden Montgomery into the wild. We can't wait any longer to talk about what's happened against the Braves, Braden Montgomery's debut. The Dodgers are in town. The Yankees are to come, and everything behind it. All is coming up roses for the Chicago White Sox. Good, better, best. There might be intent with this shirt. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more on this edition of the White Sox Recap Podcast with myself, Ryan McGuffey, and Jonathan Hood. And it starts right now. Jay Hood, I love doing multiple pods a week. And we are at the point where we can't wait 7 days to do a White Sox recap podcast anymore.
No. You know why? Because we're a first place podcast. First place Chicago White Sox. So a first place team deserves a lot more coverage than every now and then, once a week. Casual. It's not casual anymore. It's not. I just want Sox fans to just be able to just smell the roses for a minute.
100%.
Don't worry about getting out the ruler and the column inches of whether or not you feel disrespected or not. Are you getting enough coverage on your favorite sports radio station or your favorite pod? No. You're a first place Chicago White Sox team. It's time to sit back and smell the roses. It's a long season, sure, but we've come a long way. So you dig out that Sox gear, the hats, the T-shirts, the jerseys, and you put it on, and you go to work, and you go to the rate, and you go to the bar, and you represent the first place Chicago White Sox. Do it, because we deserve it as Sox fans.
And I think we're seeing more of it, Hoodie. I mean, I live up on the northwest side. You're down on the south, and I don't care which part of the city you're on. The Northwest side has not been really well represented except for the McGuffey household lately, or as of the last few years. That's not the case anymore. And some of those Cub fans are starting to shut the door when on a nice day when the breeze comes in, we're good. The hell with it. It is the time to pump your chest out a little bit because you've earned it. Picking up the Roses comment as a fan, you've earned it. No fan base in Chicago, and this is a big statement, by the way, no fan base in Chicago has earned this right more because of 41 and 121, 3 straight seasons of 100 losses, the Tony La Russa, Pedro Grifol experiment, all of it. Like, those are punches and bruises we had to wear. All right. And damn it, let the fun, let the youth, let the excitement, let what's to come, whether or not it's a division title or coming up short. I like being disappointed, Hoodie, in a loss now. I like going, damn it, that 4-3 game felt like we let it get away because the last 2 years, I didn't even it got to the 6th inning. If the White Sox had a 4-3 lead, I'm like, well, they're going to lose it. I know exactly how. Now I'm like, damn, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. They didn't execute. I'm getting to that point where I'm like, thank God baseball is every day because I want to put this one behind me and get to tomorrow. That's how this team is.
Guff, they're overcoming mistakes. Look, we can be on a podcast every day and talk about the good and the bad for the White Sox. You know that you're a good team when you have base running errors, multiple in the Atlanta game, the first game, right? You have multiple, and then you're trying to squeeze twice, and it does not work, and you say, all right, Venable, what are you doing there? Or who's got the green light to let this stuff happen? But when you can overcome your mistakes and still find a way to win the game, whether it's a big fly, whether it's a opposite field hit to be able to score, whatever it is, that means that you're a good baseball team. You and I both know teams that can only rely on home runs, can only rely on great starting pitching for them to overcome. The Sox can win on the margins now. That's when you know that you're good. Big margin, small ball, big ball. The Sox have been able to win baseball games. That's when you know you've turned the corner as a franchise.
And here's what I love about what you just said. You know, Venable the other night after the Braden Montgomery walk-off, and we'll get into that here in a second, but Venable was pissed. Like, they just won in the most, Hollywood ending type of way for a kid making his major league debut. And he was upset with the team and with himself. And for him to acknowledge that publicly, I thought, to me, was the ultimate maturation of a guy who belongs in that seat. He's going to make more mistakes. You can argue he made mistakes the next night in some of those bunt calls.
Yes.
But the fact that our manager's taking accountability in mid-June with a team that maybe the White Sox aren't surprised. Maybe these guys expected it. But I think there's not a person in that organization who would go, this is a little bit surprising. And the fact that the manager, and I anytime we could bring up both sides of town, like, we've seen teams take on the personality of their manager, right? And that team on the north side's in a funk, and it looks very similar at the top. And everyone just kind of is going through the motions. And the White Sox, you have a manager that's going, damn it, I got in the way that night, and thank God our players overcame my mistakes. Accountability matters. We haven't had any of it since 2021. And so the fact that it's happening now, I like.
Well, if you could compare one side to the other, one side of town is pressing because they know the payroll, they know what the expectations. They're supposed to be buttoned up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. If they really play at a high rate in the playoffs, that's their expectation. On the other side, you have a team that's playing free and easy. Not reckless, but just free and easy, where it's like, hey, Venable's given the green light to do a lot of different things. And because of that green light, sometimes you're going to make mistakes. Even the manager is going to make some mistakes, but overcoming those mistakes, that's the difference. Other side of town, when you see mistakes, guys swinging out of their ass, looking for a 5-run homer with the bases empty, that's what pressure is. That's what it looks like. It's easy to see, Guff, when you see both sides of town and the difference. On the other side, you've got Acuna just hitting it into the ground, just running fast. That's all he's doing, just trying to get on base.
That's why he's here.
And also the connectivity of being able to look at your teammate and go, I'll pick you up. You're at first base, I'm going to get you over, because it's execution. Other side, I got to swing out of my ass to be able to. So that's the difference between the two. I see a team in the White Sox is playing for one another, and that starts at the top with Venable.
Amen. You look at, as we record this particular podcast, the White Sox are 18-3 at home, their last 21 games.
Wow.
I mean, it's incredible what's going on at the ballpark at the rate. And it's a credit to everyone, and that includes the fans, because as you've seen, it hasn't been just sold out crowds at the rate for Crosstown anymore. They have sold out. They have standing room only tickets for the LA Dodgers. Yes, the Dodgers are part of it, but folks, the Dodgers have been coming to town here for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what? The ballpark hasn't been full. It's been Dodger fans and a couple of Sox fans. Not anymore. That stuff has changed. People are showing up, and you can see that Friday night when they're wearing the City Connects. This city is getting behind them, and the players are feeding off the energy. Hoodie, they're 22-11 at home. Do you realize only the Tampa Bay Rays are better in the American League at 24-9? Atlanta's also 22-11. And the Dodgers are 22-12. The White Sox are the second best home team in all of baseball.
Yeah. And here's something that's gonna break you, because I love breaking you on this podcast. I'm gonna break you, right? Last night, talking about the last game of the White Sox and Atlanta Braves series, we knew that the weather was bad.
Yep.
We knew the weather was bad. I knew the weather was bad. Hell, we got the plug in. We got the plug. We got Tracy Butler from ABC 7 Eyewitness News in Chicago to help us out, right, on the weather. The weather doesn't look great. I didn't give a shit. I went anyway.
Really?
I knew it was bad.
I love it.
And so I spent time at the game against them, knowing the weather was bad. What I was looking for, Guff, was like maybe a couple of innings and then a rain out. I know we weren't going to get the game in, but I just need to be at the ballpark, because you know why? Because of vibes.
Vibes.
That's why.
You're rubbing elbows with a bunch of other people that knew the exact same forecast as you did.
I knew this was get you. I'm there at the rate club. For those that are listening on the podcast, I'm holding up my bracelets to get in, right? So I was there knowing the weather was bad.
It looks like you might have been to one of those heavenly body type places, the way it sparkles, you know.
Well, the sparkle is a White Sox record. That's the sparkle. You see that?
It never sparkled. It's funny. I've worn that exact same wristband. It never sparkled like that before.
I knew the weather was bad, and I'm like, I don't care. I just want to be at the ballpark. And so it was just me looking out and seeing the rain come down. I'm like, yep, I'll have another pork tenderloin, please. Yes, another old fashioned.
Yes, please.
And the lady, God bless her, Debbie's like, I don't know if we're gonna get the game. I don't care.
Let me know when I'm supposed to leave. I want to. Marcus is going to shave off another piece of prime rib.
I said, "Thank you, chef." That's first place tenderloin right there.
Yeah. You know? Why does it taste like it's perfectly cooked medium? I love it.
So I just wanted to tell you that even though the weather was bad, I had to be at the ballpark just to get a glimpse, just to be out there. And again, I'll be out there more likely next homestand. But 100%. It just shows you that the one-loss record is going to attract more fans to walk up to want to see an exciting baseball team. And for a young team, they need that.
Yep.
A young team needs to know that the fan base cares. And, oh, damn it, we care. Don't we?
And I also think a young team playing with that type of energy, like it's a two-way street. We feed off. You're going to a game knowing damn well, strong chance you won't even see baseball. I'm still getting in the car. You're feeding off of 22, 23, 24-year-old energy. You know, it's like when I walk onto a college campus. Anytime I walk onto a college campus, I'm like, everything feel like, oh, that my knee's not in pain. Right. Everything, I feel loose. And I'm like, why am I happy? And then I'm like, oh, you look left, you look right. And you're like, no wonder. Thank God I went to a co-ed campus. Couple of other things about the White Sox, and we've talked about sustainability. We've talked about offense, and we've listed all of the reasons why that I believe this is here to stay for the entire year. 14-6 in one-run games, 12-5 against the AL Central. You and I, more than any two people, probably in this city, and certainly on this podcast, and that includes BA, which we'll get to that too, have been nailing that and pounding our own heads with one-run losses and AL Central record, which they were 50 games under 500 the last 2 years against the division.
So we talked about how important it is to be able to shore that up. And I think in our preview, we said that the one-run games would be better. We didn't know how much better, but you have to turn the corner, right? It's the seasoning of the young players, Montgomery, Mydroth. We just kind of thought that would turn, but it's turned in a great direction. You can draw a line of demarcation on that particular stat and say, there's the reason why, is because you're winning blowouts, and also you're winning on the margins on the small, the short games there, the short margin games. So good for the White Sox. That's great.
All right. So let's get into the Braden Montgomery debut, and him being the 12th rookie to make his major league debut for a first place ball club. I want to expand this into Chris Getz and some of the things that are going on literally by the moment here, the way he's tinkering with this roster. What I love about it, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years, is, and I asked Chris and I asked Will, forget the opponent. We're all trying to find those soft landing spots for these guys to make their debuts. You know why? We have PTSD from the way it's been our entire White Sox lives. So it's like, well, hang on. Now let's play. We're gonna debut him in Colorado, because then after that we play, Pittsburgh. No, the White Sox are like, we got a great homestand here. We're playing really good teams. This kid's cooking the way we want him to cook. Time to bring him up. Braden Montgomery's playing against the Atlanta Braves, best team in baseball, followed by the big bad LA Dodgers, followed by a trip at New York, the Yankees. And the Sox don't care. I love that they're just tunnel. I asked Chris, and he said, when you try to pinpoint exactly how it's supposed to be, you're going to get bit, because you're going to think this team's not good this year, and then boom, they're really good. Or you're playing against a Jacob Mizorowski type, that all of a sudden this kid comes up and he's 5 starts in, he's 5-0 with a sub-1. When the guy's ready, he's ready. And Braden Montgomery, man, what we saw in 2 games against the Braves, it's historic. We know it. He's one of 5 players in the history of the game to hit a walk-off home run in his major league debut against a guy who had a sub 0.8 ERA. And then he follows it up with a double off of Chris Sale, a double late in the game off the wall. And I stood next to him when he made his debut, or stood next to him when we were talking to me the other day. This guy looks the part. He is not some 5'9". No, this guy is got broad shoulders, looks like he's got born to run, and he's the prize of the Garrett Crochet trade. There's been a lot of talk about it this week. I don't want to judge the trade yet. It's too early. It looks very good so far, but Braden Montgomery, Hoodie, in 2 games has looked every bit the guy that we want and need in right field.
It was Christmas come early for the Chicago White Sox fan. You know how often that call comes in to Cap and J Hood, the question about, like, when is Braden Montgomery coming up? Because you can't help but to look at your White Sox timeline and see how he was just mashing the baseball and getting it done in the minor leagues. And you were just wondering, okay, so where does he fit on this team? Well, he fits wherever he wants to fit, because I just remember our preseason preview trying to figure out who's going to be in the outfield besides Benintendi. We couldn't find a center fielder or right fielder to save our lives.
Nope.
And so here's Montgomery, Braden Montgomery, coming into right field. And just what stands out is what he looks like. I told you this whole thing about Mydroth last year. Remember, I said Mydroth looks like a ball player. He looks like a guy that never wants to go to the minors again. He just is up there just as a pesky guy. Remember, he was at the top of the lineup. I go, that guy never wants to go to the minors. And the same thing with Braden Montgomery. He should never see a bus again.
Nope.
Go in the minor leagues, because
Agreed.
Look at him. But then, Guff, the opposite field power. Come on.
I tweeted it the other night. I tweeted it the other night. Not even the home run. I mean, the home run was, I said, my tweet literally said, Braden Montgomery's opposite field power is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Not at this age. He's not supposed to be doing that.
It makes no sense. Like, it almost, like, you know how Murakami early on, we were like, he just flipped the bat and it's on the warning track.
Yeah.
It feels that easy to me. Like, it's just think, oh, he didn't get it. Oh, yes, he did. I know, look, he's going to hit we're going to have strides where it's going to be bumpy, but to be put in that position, that spotlight against that team and perform like that, I got nothing but my expectations for him, it should be high. I think for you, they should be high, and for fans, they should be high.
I'm going to break your brain with this one. Okay.
Let's go.
Ready?
Yep.
The reason why the White Sox are in this position right now, and I feel like they even have more to accomplish, is because it's too much for the opposition to try to look at this young team and go, I know how to pitch them.
Hey.
It takes a year. And so while they're trying to figure it out, just keep doing your thing. You see, when you mentioned how many rookies that the White Sox have, especially offensively, it's not like the hitting coach is like, or the pitching coach is like, all right, this is how you do Montgomery. This is how you pitch Antonacci. This is how you pitch Mydroth. It's not enough tape for them to adjust. So if it's first ball, fastball, if it's anywhere in the zone, guess what? No matter your scouting report you have on paper, it's nothing like the ability to take on these hitters over and over and over again, especially in the division. But there's no time to adjust because we're hitting the baseball. That's what's happening right now. Like, do you regress to the means like next year? Maybe. But this year, because we keep stacking rookies, there's not enough of a scout for the opposition to say, all right, we know how to pitch Braden. Here, you don't have time. He's already mashing the baseball. So that's what I think is happening right now. The Sox are taking advantage because they might be a bunch of players that the opposition don't know, but they also don't know how to pitch them just yet.
And I would say that they all don't look the same. Antonacci doesn't look like Braden Montgomery. Montgomery doesn't look like Chase Mydroth. Chase Mydroth doesn't look like Munetaka Murakami. Right. Munetaka Murakami doesn't look like Miguel Vargas. And for so long, forever and always, we tried to like put these square pegs in a round hole with some of the guys the White Sox wanted to be. We think this guy is this, and we need him to be that. And now they just have a whole bunch of talented guys. Like, that's why I'm saying, how many keep drafting shortstops. You know why? They're the best athlete on the field. Yeah. Like the shortstop in the center field. So when you have a Jacob Gonzalez type raking, and he's your number one pick 3 years ago, and you all of a sudden have a hole at first base, you know what's easy to do with an athlete? Throw him over at first base and be like, hey, we're going to need you here and we need your bat. Like that kid had just came up, not even talking about him, by the way, right? We're just like, oh, he's hitting 300. He had a bomb that's still going in Philadelphia, and they're all just feeding off each other. It feels 15 Cubs-like in some ways to me, only with the prospects, because they had Lester in place. They had Hayward. They had already went out and signed the free agents. But the way those guys kept coming up when they were ready, one at a time, two at a time, it was like at some point, someone's going to fall on their face, and no one did. And as a Sox fan, I was like, this is really annoying that they're like that every guy is hitting. And it's nice that we can sit here and go, I really believe this, Hoodie. You know, like you look at the Cubs right now, and I'm sorry to keep bringing the Cubs in, and I don't know who their star is. I don't know if they have one. I think that's part of their prop identity too. They don't really have a star. I look at what's happening on the South Side, and I see stars, plural. I really do. I mean, Murakami's a star.
Yeah.
But when you look at the other guys, like Colson Montgomery's nearly 50 home runs in his first 140 games tells you he's a star. Miguel Vargas, he's going to have star next to his name because he's going to go to Philadelphia. He is going to Philadelphia as an all-star. And if Braden Montgomery is that too, holy shit. Like, we're going to be talking about the first place White Sox, as you see here for those watching on the banner, for quite a while.
Yeah. And I think that the All-Star game, as you mentioned, is going to tell the story of how many stars are on this White Sox team, right? We were trying to squeeze out and squint and see Shane Smith as a all-star, but we squinted at that because we could not identify another one. Now look what the season has brought. You can look at 3 all-stars, maybe a minimum for the White Sox. And by the way, it would be deserved because it's a first-place team and one of the top 5 teams in baseball since April 16th.
Yep. And offensively, they're a top 5 baseball. I mean, they have as many home runs almost as the Dodgers and Yankees, for God's sakes. So, like they have earned, Davis Martin has already earned, like booked the ticket. Miguel Vargas booked the ticket, and Murakami's going because baseball needs him there. Japan's going to vote him there anyway, and he's part of the story of the South Side thus far. Let's talk about Chris Getz for a second.
Yeah,
Derek Hill traded on Thursday to the Philadelphia Phillies. And Derek Hill was one of those guys, you mentioned the preseason predictions. We were looking at him going like, who is he? You know, could you even identify him in a lineup? He had really good, there were things that he did in his 50 games with the White Sox that were really good. He had a pinch hit home run. He was a nice.
I would identify Derek Hill and go, is that you, DJ? Is that Darren Jackson? If you squint, that's
pretty good.
He's like a little DJ in him. Like if you maxed him out, like, oh, he's Darren Jackson. By the way, and DJ, not bad for the White Sox.
Not bad. Yeah. But here's where Chris Getz, to me, is playing chess right now while everyone else is playing checkers. And I can't believe I'm saying this because, like most people, didn't love the hire. And I'm starting to believe that Chris Getz is a pretty damn good GM because he's got a lot of good, his supporting cast is strong and he's not afraid to ask for help and hire people smarter than him. And that's what makes him better than any of the regime before. But Derek Hill, odds are strong, Hoodie, that Everson Pereira was going to make him a DFA candidate because Pereira's back. We'll see how long. Hopefully he can stay because he looked good when he was playing. And Derek Hill started to regret. We started to see some regression from Derek Hill the last 3 weeks or so. And what happens in Philadelphia? They get an injury the day before this happens. And Chris Getz is able to move Derek Hill for 2 flyers. And you know what? Quite honestly, if those guys never do anything, it's a great trade. They're not top 30 prospects. One guy's coming off of Tommy John surgery. But they're flyers for a guy that most White Sox fans couldn't identify 3 months ago.
Yes. Listen to what Guff is saying. It's a savvy move in June. Because just remember what Derek Hill was for this team. Had a little pop, stole a few bases, played a little, stepped in and played some outfield for you. But here's the thing that's so great about this is that Derek Hill goes to Philadelphia. It's going to help Philly because they need to be able to fill the bill in their outfield for their depth chart. But we got 2 scratch-off tickets. And guess what? Maybe we get 3 cherries out of one of those tickets. Who knows? Maybe we get some money out of it. But the point is, though, is that for what Derek Hill was, all right, because again, as we just mentioned moments ago, we didn't know who the outfielders were going to be for the White Sox. We couldn't identify them. It's like Benintendi and then what, right? But Hill's one of those guys, and it's amazing in modern baseball that Venables still uses pinch hitters and pinch runners and stuff like that. But Hill did a nice job, right? Did a nice job, and now you get scratch-off tickets. The hope is that one of those guys could be something, but the point is, though, you developed someone that someone wanted in June. Hats off to Chris Getz. Very savvy move by Chris Getz. I'm not telling you it's going to, be at the top of the transactions or the move of, the 2026 season, but just understand the development, putting a young man in place that teams eyed, at least Philadelphia eyed, and said, we could use him. And Chris says, okay, here you go.
Yeah, this is solid. This is a developmental win. Yeah. And the White Sox have had more than 10 of those this year, because now, and by the way, when we go back at the end of the year and talk about our preseason predictions, I will eat the biggest shit pie of all time. Because it's going to taste so good. Yeah. It's going to taste good because now I know who Tristan Peters is. Now I know I want Tristan Peters in my lineup playing center field right now. I do. Good. And these are developmental wins. That's a trade. You go back to the transactions. That was an under the radar move made in the offseason. It was like a player to be named later to the Rays for Tristan Peters. And I remember going, what? Who? And it's like, okay, here's a cheap move. Back to Derek Hill. And I said this on a podcast, whatever it was, a month ago. This is what he said about Murakami. And this is from Derek Hill. So Derek Hill knew the role he was playing, and he was part of this clubhouse culture. Truly believe Munetaka Murakami has brought this team 10 times closer.
Wow, great quote there by DJ. It's a great quote by Terry Jackson there.
Before we move on, I want to ask you about not to rehash the sustainability thing.
Yes,
but knowing where we are in the schedule, and regardless of what happens to the Dodgers, okay, when we're recording this as the Sox are set to take on the Dodgers in front of sold out crowds, the White Sox are going to be in mid-May no worse than 500 without Munetaka Murakami. Okay. Having played the Braves, having played the Dodgers, having seen enough of all of that, pitching is still going to forever and always right now be my big Achilles heel with this team. Hagen Smith's on the way. We know that. They're already bringing his name up publicly. We thought it might be against the Dodgers, but the way the rain out kind of pushed, I kind of like, to be honest with you, that we can push that another week, maybe another start.
Yeah, it's fine. Because we won the series. Let's just celebrate that we won the series against the best team in baseball from a one-loss record standpoint. Yeah. And then we get a businessman, businesswoman special on August 20th, which I'll be at.
Maybe we should go to that game.
I'm saving the ticket.
Yeah, that's right. Keep your band.
Yeah, just my broken band. I'm keeping that, and I got the ticket, so we're definitely going August 20th.
I think that's a summer special. That's a post. I think we'll go get some little pregame brunch after your show.
Sure.
And maybe go sit with whoever the collection of 108ers who want to take a Monday off.
I have no problem with that. We'll be going to a lot more games than that, but I already circled that.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, the point. Look. I'm to the belief that barring catastrophic, okay, and we kind of knocked on the door of catastrophic with Murakami. Yeah. But you look at that the Braves wins, they did that without Mooney, without Colson Montgomery in the lineup, without Kyle Teal. I think we're going to get Kyle Teal. It sounds like he was really ramping up yesterday before the game. Mm-hmm. Think about this lineup after the All-Star break with those three in it. If this team treads water, and they're doing more than that already in June, that's why I've already seen enough, Hoodie, to believe that this thing is going to go into August and September. I really believe that.
Here's what I love at this point in time, and hopefully this extends into July and past the All-Star break and into the time that we got to decide whether you're going to hold or be able to buy. If you are doing this now and you don't have necessarily one guy carrying you, that means that you're doing a great job, because I think that the prevailing thought was, well, the only reason why the Sox are good is because of Davis Martin and Murakami.
Yep.
Those two are just carrying it because those are the all-stars. Nope. And actually that comes to you actually look at it, Guff, and that's just not true. It's Vargas. it's Antonacci, it's the Banana Peters, even Benintendi's coming through. So what I'm saying is that it's a little K. Every pitch begins with K.
I love it.
So even a Sean Burke's giving you a little. So it's not just one guy. So that means that the team's coming through. It's not Murakami and the White Sox. It's multiple guys that are getting it done. That's why they're in first place, because they play as a team. I can't say it any louder than that they play as a team. Multifaceted, number of guys coming through to help the White Sox to where they are right now. So it's not one person. And thank God it's not. Because imagine if it's just Murakami and he's out and all of a sudden you're in the shitter. No. It's multiple guys and they're playing for one another. And it's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't have Miguel Vargas leading all Major League Baseball, but all Major League Baseball third basemen in homers, RBIs, walks, and third in OPS as we hit mid-June. So you and I have talked about being wrong about Vargas. Everyone was it's except for the guys at MLB Pipeline and other places that had him as a top 30 prospect because they were right. And I asked Jim Callis about that a few weeks ago, saying, I asked him specifically about Vargas. It's like, isn't this the perfect example of patience on a trade? Like everyone wants to grade a trade immediately, right? Everybody. Oh, this trade sucks. You have to let it play out and let these guys grow a little bit. A lot of times it is one-sided, but this might be a situation where the White Sox won that trade now long-term, and the Garrett Crochet trade, it's looking really nice.
It's important, by the way, let me just say as an aside, it's important for Chris Getz to identify what's happening now and the future.
Yeah.
And the future is very bright, because if you think the Sox are great now and in first place now, we already talked about the pipeline and who's to come on this baseball team. But then for those veterans that are on this team too, Guff, you have to be able to look at that as well. We're not the Brewers, okay, where you get cornerstones and like when you get to a chance to pay them, well, we'll just replace you with someone else. Well, you're playing at a high level, your contract's up, we'll just move on to someone else. Sox have to start looking in those directions too, in which you have young talent and you're going to have some veterans sprinkled in. Then what are you willing to pay them?
Yep.
You got to start. I mean, I think we're getting into Reinsdorf Ishbia territory when we talk about that, but that's important too. Young kids, but also you got to have a sprinkle of veterans that you're going to have to pay at some point.
100%. And we haven't even talked about that whole 1-1 thing that's happening in July at the All-Star break as well, which I'll be covering, which is the Major League Baseball draft. So we look forward to that. Speaking of like unique situations, the White Sox and CHSN had a 80s broadcast this week against the Atlanta Braves. So you and I, who are White Sox fans of the 1980s, grew up on, I've talked about this. Some of my favorite teams were those 86 through 88, Gary Reedus, Kenny Gallagher, Steve Lyons, Greg Walker, shitty teams. Ivan Calderon leading the teams with 14 home runs. 67 and 95 never looked so good.
Someone Dave Gallagher at the top of the lineup.
I just brought up a Dave Gallagher. I did.
Yes. Dave Gallagher.
So a salute to Dave Gallagher, wherever you are. I hope you listen to this because you should be credited for those times you were on the Chicago White Sox. Love those fonts back in the day watching a game. For those of you who weren't old enough to have to watch baseball and not know the score unless you actually were watching the game, like they would only show the score in and out of breaks and the screen would be blank. The fonts were cool. Having Bob Costas in the booth. Like, let's talk about the whole thing. Stoney, Costas, the fonts, not everybody. There was some disconnect because we had modern day jerseys with fonts, shaded cameras. What were your takeaways?
Well, I'm sorry that the ball game got in the way of some of Bob's stories. That's one. But two, without kidding, I just want to make sure that I want to give props to the production team of CHSN, because that's hard work to build out those graphics and to be able to put on some of that old film from the 1980s, because you got to match Bob's stories with the video. They busted their ass.
Mark Brady and company, I know, was producing that game. Absolutely.
I just want to make sure they get their props, because every inning there was some kind of flashback. And so they had all that ready for Stoney and for Costas to talk about. I think that one of my biggest criticisms of it, and I'm a Lennon DJ guy. I think you know that. I like listening to the radio, but also watching on television. I just turn the sound down sometimes because I want to hear Lennon DJ, because there's something about the rhythm of ball one, strike one. But so I know every pitch and where it is, and Len does a great job of painting that picture. The Sox had some highlights in the 80s too. And I didn't get enough of that.
I know where you're going with it. I like, why am I watching Tito Landrum's homer? That one, like that one I'm okay with, but like we're showing the Sandberg game came up, the Tito Landrum game. I'm like sitting there going, are we trying to stir the pot here?
I don't need to see Gibson limping around second base.
No.
I mean, look, I'm a Sox fan. Call me a meatball and call me provincial, but I want my White Sox stuff. I mean, listen, it's a Sox broadcast. And by the way, this is not just some game in June. It's the Braves. Now, I know there's a theme in it, Guff, but God damn it. Give me some Sox rooftop shots from Luzinski.
Kittle.
Give me some 83 American League West. Give me some of those.
Now, there was a little bit of 83, and there was some 83 in there.
I need a little more.
I'm with you. There was a lot of good that happened in the 80s. You know, like that late 80s, that 1990 team that you and I have talked about.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, this team kind of reminds me a lot of that 1990 team. Mm-hmm. But early Frank Thomas, early Robin Ventura, like that 1989 season when they were kind of like on the come.
Yeah.
Like, give me some of that. Like, give me Jack McDowell pitching in Old Comiskey Park. I'm with you. I want, like, show me Ozzie flying around out there in the outfield. Show me Harold, you know, like with the bouncing ball on the scoreboard. Harold,
yes,
you know, like, give me that stuff. But to your point, like, I know that coming from that background, I know the type of work it takes to pull a game like that off.
Yeah.
So it's easy for everyone to throw shade and darts and be like, what the hell are you doing? It is a monumental task for one game to say we're ripping out all of our current graphics, all of the normal way we do things, and for one night only, we're going to do it this way. Big props to CHSN. My guess is that, as you know, these things take time to plan. And knowing that the White Sox, and Bob Costas, I give him a lot of credit because he kept saying, you know, this would have been a lot easier to do the things we wanted to do tonight in the 121 loss season. And I was like, that's not even a jab. It's like dead on. And the game started that way, 4-0. Like, okay, it felt like right out of the gate in that game, okay, like, well, this is not going our way tonight. And what happens? Here they come. It's 4-1, it's 4-2, it's 4-3, it's 4-4. And then it sets the stage for Braden Montgomery. And for Bob Costas and Stoney, who've called 10,000 games together, knowing they weren't supposed to do play-by-play, to flip the switch and recognize the moment. That was a big props to me, to two guys who, like, let's face it, have earned the right to have their ego and their cake, and on the fly called a good baseball game.
Yes. I am kind of jabbing Costas in the ribs for all of those stories. And I mean, voluminous, long screed of stories of highlights in the 80s. And the 80s had a lot of great highlights. However, I'm thinking that they're going to get some kind of award for that broadcast, because it's Bob. That's number one. Steve was a network broadcaster, by the way, along with his Cubs stuff.
It's the game of the week, right?
Yeah, he was an ABC broadcaster. Him and Jim Palmer were great back in the day, as you well know. And so I think that that's probably an Emmy coming for that broadcast, just because of the way it was produced. That was amazing.
100%. Had the chance to catch up with Bob Costas pregame, and I'll full disclosure, like, he's the reason, once I realized I was not going to be the first 3-sport athlete in the history of sports, and I had to transition my 5'8" white ass to something different. I wanted to still be in sports. Bob Costas was that reason. I mean, growing up on the 90s Bulls, all of us who had that opportunity, that guy was around any big pivotal Chicago sports moment that included Michael Jordan. So had the opportunity I've talked to Bob in the past, and he did come out to meet with the media. There was a lot of talk about the stories he was going to tell. And I just wanted to ask him flat out, Hoodie, about the current Chicago White Sox and the story that they are. So here, let's listen to Bob. For someone who loves stories, loves telling stories, the White Sox have been as fun of a baseball story this year. What was your impression of the White Sox?
From afar, I think it's one of this season's best baseball stories. To be only a game and a half back of the Guardians, in the wild card mix, at least at this point, and only 2 years removed from losing 121 games and losing at least 100 3 consecutive years, and now this. And it doesn't seem like a fluke because a lot of it is a plan paying off. Some first-round picks, or a guy like Montgomery, which you get from the Crochet deal, or Vargas, which is one of those things that happens when a lowly team makes a deal for a prospect with a top team that is looking to shore up something. And you think of how strong the Dodgers are, but only a few years ago they needed Joe Kelly and they needed Lance Lynn. And in fact, Lance Lynn started the third game, I called it with Ron Darling, in 2023 when the Diamondbacks swept them and gave up 4 consecutive homers in 1 inning. So the White Sox in that circumstance were just as well done with him, I guess. No disrespect to Lance, who had a good career.
I like the shade at Lance Lynn on the way out, by the way.
You don't talk about Lamar Hoyt 2.0 that way, you son bitch.
But wasn't that it? Like, Bob's a baseball man, and that's why I framed it. Like, this guy's told some of the best stories in the history of sports, and I love stories. You know that. Like my past life, I was a storyteller, and I love, humanizing athletes and getting inside of like the moment that was. And I thought his response was really good. I mean, he from afar, he's watching a team that you and I are addicted to, and he's talking about the same players that we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes.
When you closed your eyes and you talked to, because I know your eyes were closed, you were just taking it all in.
I was in a weird position too. Like, it was very belt to face.
Bob.
Yeah.
When you watched Bob, did you think?
I was drooling.
Well,
yeah.
Did you think just for a moment, just for a fleeting moment, just be honest? What if I was seeing this guy at the ballpark every day?
Oh,
did you think about that just for a fleeting moment? I know you're just there to visit, but did you just think for a minute, could you imagine if that guy is at the ballpark every day?
Is this like the Gatorade commercial? Like, remember that time he scored 63 points in the Garden, and you thought maybe this could be me too.
Just think about it. This guy, the way off the top of his head, because of course he's doing the homework, but also as a baseball machine and a soundbite machine. He knows exactly what's happened to the White Sox, understood the trade. He wasn't just here just as a carpetbagger. He was here with knowledge of the team and did the broadcast. All props to him.
And finally, as we wrap up the Costas thing, like, I thought it was perfectly timed that Bob Costas is in Chicago watching the best story in baseball. I really did, because it's like, this is the attention, going back to how you started this podcast about smell the roses.
Yeah.
Everyone is nationally. Look at MLB's main Twitter account on a nightly basis. They can't get enough White Sox. They are like, everything's in caps, throwing it at you. It's because people love good stories. People love feel good. The White Sox are feel good, and it's cool, and it's okay. And it's why I'm wearing the good, better, best t-shirt. Mm-hmm. I'm paying it off. It's because it feels to me like that Bear season a little bit. It's a completely different sport with completely different feels. And we had 7 straight games where I don't think we'll ever see that again. Certainly with the Chicago Bears, maybe ever in the NFL. And every night, Hoodie, the White Sox are one-upping the thing that they did that was cool the night before. And that's why it feels like it's good, it's better, and it's best. And by the time this season is over, they might be the best team in the AL Central. Like, I am officially drinking the Kool-Aid with a whole bunch of ice in it, super ice cold, because I really thought they were good or better. But they might be the best team in the American League Central, and damn it, I'm going to put it out there.
You know what? That designation is deserved. It is for this White Sox team. We laid out all the reasons why, and I think that when you're a young team, you see that you're going to go to Yankee Stadium. You see the schedule. You know what's coming up. You're going to take on the Dodgers, the champs. You take on the Yankees. It's really difficult to be able to play in Gotham, but then you're playing the Tiger. For a young team, Guff, they don't care.
Nope.
They're just out there playing. They realize it must be cool for them to be playing at Yankee Stadium, playing against the champs, taking on the Tigers. It doesn't matter. If they play free and easy baseball and do what they do best, they always have a chance. And so even the Philadelphia series, you just kind of said, damn it, okay, there was an opportunity. But you know what? Philadelphia's better because, they slug their way through games. They have enough good pitching to get you through. And so sometimes you have to get knocked down a peg to realize what it takes. So, and I'm not saying we're the Rockies because we're not. We're better than close. But what I'm saying is that there's some learning curves in there for the White Sox, and the hope is they master most of them and learn at the same time. That's the hope.
I'm gonna beautifully said, and I'll say last thing. I heard Braden Montgomery on Waddle and Sylvie, and he talked about Sylvie asked him about who his favorite players growing up were at 7 years old, and he said mine were Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera. Every single day of the week, I wanted to be Derek Jeter. And so Sylvie said, "You're a Yankees fan." He's like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "And you're going to be." And he goes, "Oh, I already knew the schedule. I already know I'm going to." And it's like, to your point exactly. They're not only saying, "Oh boy," they're not looking at the schedule going, "Oh, the Dodgers and the Yankees." They're going, "Sweet, we get to play the Dodgers and the Yankees. Let's go."
Yes,
and it's a beautiful thing. This is the first place White Sox. How long it lasts, I think it's officially. We don't know. So smell the roses, enjoy the ride. I hope we keep doing podcasts like this, Hoodie. Speaking of which, is it just you and me now, or what's going on?
BA is too good to be on the podcast, apparently. He's stuck in the Twin Cities watching Twins baseball or something. And I would just say a first place team and you duck out.
I mean,
I don't understand.
What's, now we're getting like the automatic response now, or just go straight to voicemail.
Yeah. King Troll doesn't have time now to spend time with us on the podcast. He always loves to take a shot. I think they're going to win 80 games. Okay, great. Anyone can say that, but they're proving it on the field now. They're going to win 80 games.
I think he's already cashing his tickets, which is a really scary thing to do because they turn into IOUs, and you never want to do that. The White Sox Recap Podcast. We may be doing multiple episodes a week. Who the hell knows? Like Hagen Smith's coming. They may sweep the Yankees. They may never lose again. They're going to lose, but folks, this has been a hell of a ride. Jonathan Hood, appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Always. I'm Ryan McGuffey. This is the White Sox Recap Podcast, available on YouTube and wherever you listen audio only on podcasts. If you don't already subscribe to YouTube, to the Recap channel, what are you doing? Like 250,000 people already do that. Hop on board, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Every time we drop a podcast, you get the notification, and boom, we're right there for you. We'll be back next week. I mean, Danny Plesac is now on hold. This is how it's good. This is how good it is. We have planned podcasts that we are now pushing down the line, Hoodie, because shit's happening in a good way. That is where you want to be. For Hoodie, I'm Guff. We'll see you next time on the White Sox Recap Podcast.
I miss a splitter.